Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Deadology Podcast from Pencil Hill Studio, New Paltz, New York. I'm your host, Howard Weiner. This is Season 2, Episode 18 of the podcast. Today is May 11th, 2024. 52 years ago today, the Grateful Dead were in the thick of the Europe 72 tour in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And what an epic show they played on that night. So that's going to be the focus of the podcast. And joining me will be Doug Schmell. I believe this is his fourth appearance on the Deadology Podcast. And we're definitely going to make it a monthly feature where we get Doug in here, because his enthusiasm for the Grateful Dead is contagious, man. This guy just loves the Grateful Dead so much. He helped me get into them back in the day, and I'm sure he's getting everybody fired up who's listening to him now on the podcast. So he'll be here with us to dig into this epic show, and we're also going to try and rank. It's a tough task, but I decided to do it. We're going to try and rank the top 5 Europe 72 shows after we talk about Rotterdam. So enough of this intro. We did a Zoom call with Doug yesterday. Let's jump right into that Zoom call. Enjoy.
Wait.
Hey, my friends, we got Mr. Doug Schmell back on the podcast, Deadology Podcast here. Welcome, Doug.
Hi, Howie. What's up, everybody? Great to be here, as always.
Yes, he's a Europe 72 aficionado, and that's going to be the topic once again tonight. Tomorrow, May 11th, is the 52nd anniversary of the Great Rotterdam Show. We're going to discuss that. And after that's over, we're going to do our top 5 Europe 72 picks. And me and Doug haven't discussed it yet, so it's going to be a surprise to both of us. Hopefully, we came up with something different. They're not the same exact lists. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun discussion at the end. But hey, let's get started with Rotterdam, May 11th, 72. So they open up that night with they finished the show in Amsterdam. A couple of shows before was Bickershaw. They're on such an incredible roll. And they come into Rotterdam and they open up with Playin in the band. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, Amsterdam was a very liberal, a city, in the Netherlands, and a very big hippie population. And Rotterdam was a bustling port, if I recall from the liner notes. It's, a big city. There's a lot of people, but also very lax, a perfect place to play. They were playing at this beautiful place called the Zaal de Doelen. It's a 2,200 seated theater, one of 3 actual theaters in this place that they had just built in 1966. And there were 3 concert halls there. This was the biggest one, holding 2,200. So, Led Zeppelin played there. Elton John had just played there night of Tivoli, the Tivoli Garden Show from Denmark, which was April 14th, 72. The Grateful Dead were playing that same night. Howie, I think you froze on me.
I'm sorry.
You there?
Yeah. I think the recording. Yeah, the recording's still going. Yeah, something happened.
Yeah, you froze. You froze on me. I could, but just to give a little. Amazingly, Elton John had just played there, so it's got pop, it's got rock. It's a great little venue, superb acoustics, as most of these shows. And the Dead just nailed it, opening up with Playing in the Band. That's the second time on the tour they opened up with Playing in the Band. The first one was in Hamburg, West Germany, which was, a good 11 or so days before that, 12 days before. And it's a great Playing in the Band. Yeah. It's not one of the best ones of the tour. It's hard to, rank these, but there are some that are better. But this is a beauty just to open up the show. Hard to imagine these unsuspecting, citizens from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, Holland, getting to see a psychedelic outbreak like Playing in the Band to open up the show. It's hard to fathom.
Yeah, it was amazing for us in New York when we saw it. We saw it in 1982. We saw Playin open up the Dead open up the Playin twice. Yes, Capitol Center and Madison Square Garden, and the Madison Square Garden version was tremendous.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So I could only imagine back in 72 what they were thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got the show rolling on the right foot, Howie.
I happen to like this one a lot. Actually, let's give our audience a little taste of the disorientation, a quick audio clip from the Playin in the Band opener.
Oh yeah.
There it is, Playing in the Band to open up, probably, in my opinion, the best opener of the Europe 72 tour, I thought. I mean, obviously that's debatable, but I thought it was pretty great. They roll into Sugary next, and then they get into a nice little flow here, typical songs, but all desirable. Your thoughts as the show rolls forward?
Yeah, it's funny looking back on these shows, a lot of them are very similar. Obviously, at this point, they're only playing with a 50-song repertoire. In fact, you'll mention later, The Morning Dew was now because that was the tour debut of this show. That was only the 50th individual song that they had played on this tour. So a lot of the shows seem very, very similar when you look at the set list, but they play them very differently. This is a great first set. It flows. There's just something about it. I love the Mr. Charlie in the third spot, which is a very, kind of usual position for the song, but they nail it. And I like the Black-Throated Wind is excellent, but I love the Deal in the fifth slot. That's a different kind of a song for a first set on this tour. They only did it maybe 6-7 times, if I believe.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a standout myself. Just get that real bluesy first set tune there early, a little different from the other shows. And then some good jamming from Jerry. They go into Chinatown Shuffle, and then we get like a nice solo Mexicali blues.
I love that song on this tour, Howie. I love it.
It's different. It's
two great jams, solos by Jerry. I love Bobby singing on it. This one is a great version. There's something about these Mexicali blues. It was just released if you were on Ace, just prior, I think, to this tour, or maybe it was just right after. So the songs from Ace really were coming out on their own on this tour. One More Saturday, like Mexicali Blues, Playing in the Band. These songs became staples of their repertoire from that album, and they were nailing it early on, nailing it.
Greatest Story and
oh my God, Greatest Story. We'll get into that.
That's one of our definite favorites, especially from that period. And then we move into some heavier stuff. We're getting towards the middle of the set, half the way home here. You got the China Cat Rider. What do you think about this one?
Oh my God, the China Cat, a lot of people love. It's funny. I was looking at some of the comments on the Internet Archive, and I agree. This China Cat is great. There's something about it. I can't explain it. There's a nice jam, a nice transition jam, but a lot of people don't know the I Know You Rider has got 3 Jerry solos. Most of them you count, there's two. Probably a few, under a handful, under five in their history where they've done more than two solos. This one's got three. They do one early, and they do the lyrics, Sun's Gonna Shine, in My Backyard One Day. Then they do another jam. Then, of course, they do the final jam after I Wish I Was a Headlight, northbound train. It's great. So three solos, and they're all beautiful. There's
That's
something
crazy.
about this.
I
Yeah,
missed that. So all three come between the verses.
yeah, exactly. It's
Wow.
great.
I
Yeah,
listened to it.
yeah.
I don't even know how I missed that, but
Exactly. It sneaks up on you. I noticed it. I've listened to the show now twice in the past, say, 2 months. One was driving to Sarasota and back about 2 months ago. But when you mentioned, hey, let's do a podcast on this show, on the Rotterdam show, I was like, great, let me just freshen up on it. So I listened to the China Cat Rider and most of the first set, and that rider is just beautiful. I love the three solos.
wow.
Kind of makes it different to me.
My focus was so much on the cat, and I thought it was the cats are getting better as the tour goes on.
Hey, I agree. Cats are great. They keep getting better. It's amazing. The 10th song in this first set is a Hurts Me Too. That is fabulous.
It is. Yeah. That
I
definitely.
love all the Hurts Me Toos from this tour. I love Pigpen singing. This one is just one of the ones that really grabbed my attention when I heard it the other day. It's great.
Yeah, on the heels of the Cat Rider too, it really has some substance there. I thought it was pretty amazing myself. The
Great blues
playing.
tune. It just amazes me they were able to play these songs with such gusto. And again, they were doing this like every third night. They're playing these first sets with a lot of the same songs, but a lot of them they play a variance on the theme, on the jam. This one has the jam and then some harmonica after the jam by Jerry. A lot of times it's harmonica, jam, then right to the lyrics at the end. This one has some harmonica, Jerry jam, and then more harmonica by Pigpen, which is great right before the ending lyrics. I love it.
And as we roll along here, I think this is one of Pigpen's last great shows because there's so many Pigpen performances here.
There's 7 Pigpen songs. Look, if you want to include the Who Do You Love as a separate song, it's really 8. I don't, but 7 separate Pigpen songs is unbelievable. It really is. It's probably his greatest performance on the tour.
All right. And then we're rolling along with the first set here. We got some typical awesome Grateful Dead from 72, Beat It Down the Line, Brown Eyed Women, Jack Straw.
Oh, great. Yeah. Standout versions of both, I'm telling you. Those two songs amazed me when I heard them the other day. They were really engaged on those two songs. They're throwaway songs sometimes when you think about it. You're like, oh, another Beat It On Down the Line. This Beat It On Down the Line is ferocious, and the Brown Eyed Women is beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. Remember, they only played it about 6 times on the tour, 5, 6, 7, something like that. That's it. And you got to love them when they play them because they're beautiful.
Yeah, early in the tour, they were playing it more, and then they kind of switched down, did some other stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So you got the Great Europe 72 songs that would be on the album. You got Jack Straw, and then Big Railroad, which always rocks. And
this one stands out. It's got 4 rounds of the Jerry solo. 4. You look at one like Copenhagen when they don the masks, the Bozo Bolo masks. They only did 2 rounds. It's a hot one, but this one's got 4 rounds, and Jerry's engaged. He hit some beautiful notes. I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
So we're definitely having a great first set here. The Good Lovin' comes up.
Good Lovin's great. It's an excellent version. I love this Good Lovin'. Nice rap by Pigpen, and nice jamming. It's concise, not too long. It's under 13 minutes, but it's really hit. And then, of course, the Casey Jones encore is great. I love this Casey Jones. The singing is great. Nice jam in the middle of it. And, we're driving that train high on cocaine. That chorus at the end, they do it 7 times, which is nice, and it's about a 94-minute first set. So it's not the longest of the tour. It's probably one of the shorter ones, but oh boy, did they make it up in the second set, Howie.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
This second set, we kind of went through the first set there because we know we're going to be digging into the second set. It's a beauty, man. So right off the bat, Morning Dew. It's the first Morning Dew for Keith. And it also means it's the first time they played it in a year. The funny thing is, nobody out in the audience probably loved the Morning Dew, but they probably didn't realize these stats. Like
exactly, if first one since Hollywood, the Hollywood Palladium, 8/6/71. Yes,
and
that was the last one.
1980. If they did this in 1981, took a year break, and then they played Morning Dew, the place would
be there'd be a riot. There'd be pro-Palestinian rioters outside.
Yeah, man. So the Morning Dew is pretty awesome here. You can tell Jerry's into it. It's these
Oh, it's
72. This is the golden age of morning dews, man. This
Oh,
is
no doubt. I love 72 morning dews. I'll tell you, look, 73s, people go by it. I understand that 74, but I'm telling you, I've got a long list of 72 morning dews that are unbelievable. And this one bit me in the ass when I listened to it 2 days ago
yeah,
because I remember it was great. And I know there's the bit with Bobby breaking a string, and it kind of, instead of there a nice fanning ending, they have to cut it short because Bobby broke a string. But before that, the singing by Jerry is unbelievable. He's unbelievably engaged in the singing. It's amazing. His voice is angelic in this.
yeah.
And the jam is great. It's long. He's taking his time. It's just amazing. And then I get it, a short kind of out of nowhere ending, but you find out right afterwards why. Bobby broke a string. What were they going to do? They couldn't really continue. But it's still, even with the abrupt ending, it's fabulous. Listen
Right.
to this, people out there. It's one of the best morning dews of the year. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
I agree with that. It was yeah, and you're listening to it, you think it's going to be like one of the greatest ones you're ever going to hear, but then the
Exactly.
spring
Exactly.
breaking kind of brought it
And,
back home.
and then,
They
right.
made up for it in the Lyceum. That one on
Oh, my
526 is
God.
incredible. Yeah,
Oh, my Lord. Yeah,
but
we have
yeah,
something to talk about with that.
but
But yeah, the
it's
second
huge.
set is great.
Yeah,
And I
it's
wanted to mention
huge.
something. Go, Howie.
Oh, I was just saying it's huge just to get it back into the lineup for Europe 72. It's
And to open up the
yeah,
second set, open up the set with it is amazing. A lot of these shows from Europe 72, they would either start the second set right away with the jam sequence. You look at the night before, they opened up the second set with the truckin', which went into the other one, the Bobby McGee, that opened the second set. Sometimes, like in 4872 London, they do three small standalone songs, then they do the jam
the
sequence.
big segment. Yeah,
This this show, they do six separate standalone songs before they even get into the jamming portion. Six. It's amazing. They
yeah,
were taking their time, they were living in the moment, they were enjoying themselves, and it turns into one of the greatest second sets ever, making it one of the greatest shows ever. I mean,
no
it's
doubt.
amazing. You go on the list of Me and My Uncle, great standalone song right after that Morning Dew. And to me, right after the Me and My Uncle's hot, but The Stranger, Two Souls in Communion is the best one of the tour. And to me, the greatest one ever.
Wow.
Listen to the jam in that one. I just heard it,
Oh
Howie, on
yeah, Garcia is
my way back from
unbelievable, man.
lunch
Yeah.
before meeting for this meeting, before I met you today. I listened to that one again because it struck my mind the first time I heard it, a couple of days ago, and I re-listened to it. The jam in that is poignant. The singing is unbelievable. It's to me the best one they've ever done.
Yeah, I think that was the first great one they did. I like the one from May 24th also a lot. There wasn't a
Oh
lot
yeah,
more to
that's
go,
phenomenal. The one
unfortunately,
from
but
Frankfurt is also great, but this one
yeah,
sticks out to me because of the jam.
no
Jerry
doubt.
hits these incredible notes where you're like laughing. I'm like, how does he do this? He
Yep.
really hit the tone and like the temperature of the song perfectly. The heartfelt singing by Pigpen, his longing for a true love, his trying to understand what true love means and is. And he nails it, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
It's funny.
really is so sad, man, because this is like, one of Pigpen's great tunes, and it was kind of, well, they were leading toward a new Pigpen songs were mixing in better with what the Grateful Dead were doing at the time. It was, with the Mr. Charlie and all that stuff. It would have been an amazing thing, Jerry, Bob, Pigpen, if that rotation went like that, because he was starting to develop all these great songs. And
Correct.
this is his most mature song for sure. Obviously he's facing his mortality at this point, so it's so bittersweet hearing these. It's the
I
stranger.
love the song. I love the
Yeah,
lyrics. I know the lyrics by heart from singing along, and listening to the song. The lyrics are fabulous. It's just him screaming from his heart. And it's just something about it, I'll tell you. Moving on the set, the El Paso's great. The Tennessee Jed
yeah,
cranks with energy, and it's such a awesome solo by Jerry. I heard this also. I'm going to re-listen to this one later. I'll have time later when I go pick up dinner. I didn't have time on the way back before this meeting, but this Tennessee Jed really cracks it, and he hits some beautiful solo. So that's set you up, and then you've got the sixth standalone song before the Dark Star is Next Time You See Me, which is also always a great song on this tour because
and once
Jerry
again,
always nails the jam.
like you said, when you were listening to it, I listened to this Next Time You See Me, and I was just like, what? I heard Garcia's solo, and that was like,
It's
there's something that
phenomenal.
they're on such a roll in this second set, and
Oh,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, to be honest, the first set was good. It's not one of the best ones of the tour. Some may say it was a little lackluster. I think it's still great. But when they come out with a second set opener as a morning dew, something's going on,
yeah.
And sure enough, we got a lot to talk about because the next song, seventh song of the second set, is this Dark Star. And Howie, I'll tell you, for a while, I was ranking this as the number one greatest Dark Star of all time. I then had like a moment, maybe a few months, where I thought London 4872 was better. There was a small time, maybe a few weeks, that I thought even Dusseldorf might have been better.
That's a
Dusseldorf,
great.
great Dark Star. So that's 42472 from Dusseldorf, Germany. But I'll tell you, I listened to this Dark Star twice now within the last couple of months, like I said, and there is no doubt in my mind, and a lot of people agree with me, this is the greatest Dark Star of all time, bar.
Yep, I agree with you too. I listened to this 5 times this week. It's incredible. But one thing I think I kind of got the nature of it, the temperature of it. It's a Ponzi scheme. There's no way 5 guys could show up on stage and play that, man. It's like there must have
No,
been like
it's true.
guitarists in the wing helping Jerry out. You listen to it. There's so much going on, and just a lot of dark stars. They'll be searching for the sound, and there'll be noises and this and that. This one is like all different little jams going on nonstop.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know,
No, it amazes me when you go to the archive. They have it as Dark Star, drums fill, then into jam, back into Dark Star, into a spacey jam, and then into a jam to end it. Obviously, that's really just one Dark Star, and it's a little over 48 minutes. It's really incredible. Now, to break it up, you really don't need much to understand how great this Dark Star is. If you have the suitcase, the box set, the liner notes are just unbelievable by Blair Jackson. Blair Jackson's, a historian of the Grateful Dead, a great writer. He breaks down this Dark Star pretty much minute by minute, and it's pretty incredible.
I should have
If you
read
read
that
the
before.
liner notes,
I have the liner
it's
notes.
amazing.
Yeah.
He talks about it, and I got to agree with some of this stuff, some of the. But to me, I remember listening to this, like I said, 2 months ago almost, when I went to Sarasota, listened to it on the way back. And then I wanted to listen to it with headphones walking around the neighborhood because then nobody's bothering me. There's no interruption. Sometimes I'm in the car, I'm stopped at a light. There's a honk. Somebody rings my phone. So when I'm taking a walk, I always cancel and take the silencer off so I can't get any calls. And I'm listening to this and it just blew me away. There's a jam. First, at about 7-minute mark, there's this beautiful jam that Jerry starts. At the 10-minute mark, before there's any drums or any verses, they go into this incredible, it sounds Arabic. It sounds Middle Eastern. This jam, it's incredible. It goes on for 3 minutes. People, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to this Dark Star. You'll see about 10 minutes in, pretty much exactly the 10-minute mark. They start this unreal jam, one of the greatest Dark Star jams I've ever heard. It's beautiful. Then they go into a little jam after that, right into the drum solo. The drum solo is great. It's about 4 minutes. It's one of the better drum solos of the tour.
And it's
then
funny. It's funny to call it a drum solo because it's really part of Dark Star, even though
correct.
by definition.
Of course, I don't call it a separate song,
yeah.
But it is somewhat. They'll demarcate it. On the line on the album itself, on
for tracking purposes.
On the complete recordings, just for track listing. They mentioned drum solo. It's great. Right after the drum solo, Phil comes on and they do a drums and Phil solo for a few minutes, which is excellent. No Jerry, no Bobby. It's just Phil and Billy, and it's fabulous. Then they come back and they get into the lyrics, and the lyrics are just the singing is perfect on this version.
And you're almost going too quick at this point because when Jerry comes back in with Phil, man, it's for 3-4 minutes. It's just great.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful. I believe me. I know. It's just that for some reason what blows me away? People on the archive, and I think it's the Heady version is a name of a website.
Yeah,
you can look at what people rank as the best particular version of any song. This Dark Star. Now, I wouldn't say it's a crime. It's ranked the 10th best. Are there 9 better? No. Are there, in some people's opinion, some better? Yeah. Some people think Venita's better. That's number 1 on this list. But this one was number 10. And it's funny, you look at the way some people rank some of these songs. This one, some of the ones ahead of it, like 22769 from the Fillmore West, from a famous group of shows. That's a
It's
great
great.
dark star, but it's a 23-minute dark star. They start the lyrics 23 minutes in on this one.
Some of
So
the
that
readings.
song is now over. The one from
Yeah.
22769 is over when they start singing the lyrics, and there's still 23 minutes left in this one. It's incredible. So I just to give you some, reference, they start the lyrics where most dark stars are over now, So it's just incredible. And they go another portion of the dark star that I love after the lyrics. There's a little spacey jam that goes into a tiger jam.
Yep.
And the tiger jam
incredible.
to me is the best one ever.
I'm queuing that up, man. Let's let the audience hear that. A tiger jam.
Oh my God.
Fusion fireballs galore. Everybody
It
enjoy.
sounds like worlds colliding.
Yeah.
Worlds colliding.
Yeah, and that's the second half of the Dark Star. We still got like 15 minutes to go. This is how crazy the
Still,
Dark Star
it's
is.
incredible. Still a good 15 minutes left or so. Just amazing. That's the longest Tiger Jam they've ever done, and they were taking their time. And they really go to the heart of Dark Star. Total out there space. Like I said, worlds colliding. It sounds like that, like an apocalypse. And then they go back into this gorgeous jam. After the Tiger Jam, they go back into this incredible jam that sounds similar to what I call like an Arabic or a Middle Eastern sounding jam 10 minutes in, it's got that same theme. Oh my God, is it beautiful? And before the end, you hear signs of trucking. You hear a scent of a bird song. There's all these different themes going on.
Caution as well, definitely trucking. Caution is kind of
Yes,
scratching
I
away.
hear a trucking. They're about to do trucking, but they veto that. There's a bird song riff by Jerry, but they
Yeah.
veto that. It's a caution. It's incredible. And then they just flutter for a little while, and they go into, oh my God, just one of the greatest Sugar Magnolias of all time, if you ask me. It's just, how do they have the energy and the nerve and the chutzpah to play this unbelievable Sugar Magnolia, easily the best of the tour, and to me, one of the top 5 greatest Sugar Magnolias of all time after this 48-minute Dark Star? That I would like to know the answer to that question.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery. That Sugar Mag kind of marks the end of innocence for Rotterdam, and it's kind of like the dawn of the golden age of ballooning is just broken out, and it's incredible. It's like they set
it's
it up.
Got the energy.
Yeah.
There's something about this Sugar Magnolia that blows my mind, and I always knew it. You know, it's funny. I always pegged the Sugar Man. If you recall, Howie, I know I've told you about it, and not that you ignored it. You, as a historian of the Grateful Dead, you had to listen to ones from 77, 78, 73, 74, and there's so many great Sugar Magnolias. But this one, I thought, may have been underrated or passed you by because you've had to listen to so many in your books.
And it's not as long as some of the other ones, but boy, did they make up for it with like crazed intensity.
It's phenomenal. The Sunshine Daydream is great. You know, the jam in that.
At this point, we can't let the audience not hear that Sugar Mag.
Oh my God.
So here you go.
Enjoy, folks.
There it is, man. The Sugar Mag, insane.
Yeah, and hopefully you weren't driving. If you were, Geico will cover the damage.
Yeah. Man. So the Sugar Mag, the Sunshine Daydream is great, and even at this point, they go into caution. At that point, there's still so much to go with this show. It's
there were already 57 minutes about. Oh yeah, I'd say about 56, 50 now. For most of the other shows on this tour, that would constitute really the jam sequence. which, you know, for most shows is a good hour or so, correct? An hour and 5 minutes, 58 minutes, whatever it might be. So if they stopped here, this would have been apropos. But no, they go on and they do a caution for almost 17 minutes. It's nuts.
Yeah, this is
Where did
probably
they get this energy? And the caution's great.
Yeah.
Look, the best one, as most people would probably agree with me, is London
That was about
4872,
what I was about
I
to say.
believe.
Yeah.
This one might be second or third. Another great one is definitely Tivoli Gardens,
Tivoli, yeah.
Copenhagen, 417. That's a long one, 23 minutes into an unbelievable Johnny Be Good. I love that one. But this one is great. Great Pigpen rap. They go into Who Do You Love, so it's great. And at the end of this engaged trucking, I mean, a caution, they go into trucking. It's hard, right into it. So instead of stopping after caution, which you would have given them all the reason to, like they did in London, at this point, you know, they're playing for well over an hour and change, but they go into an incredible trucking. You know, I heard this trucking early this morning for the second time recently, and I could not believe how hot it was. It's amazing.
The jam at the end is nuts.
Yeah, it's amazing. Look, it's probably one of the shorter ones. It's only 9 minutes and change. It definitely, they don't jam out as long at the end, but the powerfulness of the jam and the intensity is phenomenal. And again, how do you do that after playing straight for an hour and almost 20 minutes at this point? You know, it's crazy.
And you could tell the band's just so excited. Trucking in that spot is just, it's incredible hearing that.
Exactly.
Then,
instead of a second set opener or a first set opener, right? Which they did trucking to open up the first set on the tour twice. And usually the spot one show that they did trucking to end the second set was because they were doing it for the TV, the show in Copenhagen, the second one. That just happened to be a weird show. They ended the second set with
the heart, man. Just at
the
right time.
To go into trucking as one of the last songs of the show is phenomenal. And right after the trucking stops, there's a pause for like 3 seconds, and they go right into Uncle John's Band,
they do that.
which is actually the last song of the show. Now, a lot of people think, and incorrectly, it's listed on the Grateful Dead archive that they played One More Saturday Night, but that is an error. They did not play One More Saturday Night at this show. The One More Saturday Night that you listen to, if you go to the archive, is actually the one from 5/26/72 Lyceum. Somehow it got added on to this show. So there is no One More Saturday Night, and I don't blame them. After this Uncle John's Band, there's no need for an encore. You just walk off and go do what you got to do. And in the history books, one of the greatest shows of all time.
And here's the last word on the Rotterdam show. They opened with Playin, ended with Uncle John's Band. Perfect symmetry.
No, I agree. Those two songs pair a lot. To pair them like that, opening and closing in 1970s, it was just unbelievable. And for the record, this second set is almost 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Think of that. With most of it coming in almost a 90-minute jam sequence, which is unheard of. So you can't listen to it like normally. Like I listen to some of these jam sequences from this tour when I take a walk around the neighborhood, which takes about an hour. I can't for this song because for the show, it's too long. I have to do it over 2 separate walks. It's incredible. That's I noticed about this show. The longevity, the intensity, amazing. Top 5 show.
I'm sure it's in both our top 5s, and we're going to segue right into that. We're running out of time. I'm going to let Doug go first because if we run out of time, I could always dub in my choices after. So here we go. The top 5. Europe 72, and I put Doug in a box, in an uncomfortable box. I made him choose 5. But
Howard, man, I was not looking forward to this moment. I was dreading it. In fact, I think my mom's calling me. I have to leave now. I'm kidding. This was the hardest choice I'd ever have to make. I swear to God. I know it sounds, who cares? But you know what? This is important shit to me. I love this tour. I love the Grateful Dead. This is the greatest tour they ever did. And to me, it's the peak of human civilization. I'm kidding about that, but seriously, if you're a music aficionado, you love the Grateful Dead, this is the peak of the Grateful Dead experience.
The pyramids have nothing on this, man.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll tell you, it's hard for me. I have 7 shows in my mind that are their greatest, and one that becomes number 8. So it's so hard for me. This is what I'm going to do, Howard. I'm going to give with your permission, my top 10 and go backwards, if that's okay. All right.
Make 10 through 6 quick.
Okay. So I don't know what order, but the ones that don't make my top 5 and still the greatest shows of all time in descending order. Now we talked about Tivoli 414. It's one of the top 10 shows easily, but it's just not to me a top five because the other shows are so unbelievable. So that comes between 10 and 6. Another unbelievable show is that Dusseldorf. That comes
Love it.
between 10 and 6. Another incredible show that I love with all my heart that to me might be number 8 is the show before Rotterdam, Amsterdam. That show is unbelievable. Folks, that's the most underrated show of the tour. Listen to it, it'll blow your mind. It's got a second set sequence centered around the other one that will kill you. It's incredible. Okay, so that leaves now 7. One of the, unfortunately, I can't put this in the top 5 again because there's so many great, is Lyceum 52372. It's worthy of being top 5. It's, to me, one of the greatest shows of all time. It just can't squeeze in there. And here's a show that I'll say put it number 6. It was part of my number 5, but last night, as I'm laying down to bed, knowing that we were going to discuss this, I had to move it from my top 5 to number 6. It's killing me to do this, folks. But London, 4872. It's that great of a, but I can't put it in the top 5. Why? Because you got 42672, 100-Year Hole. One of the greatest shows of all time, easily a top 5. If anybody wants to argue about it, call me, text me, and I'll tell you why. Paris, 5372. I listened to that show recently, and that show is worthy of being called easily one of the greatest, if not the greatest show of all time.
What are you saying, number 5 for that?
No. I can't put them really in any order. I'm just telling you my top 5. If you put a gun to my head, I might have to do it, but these are the top 5. Hey, easily Frankfurt, 426.
Before I do that, I'm just going to quickly preempt you. We got about 4.5 minutes here. I'm just going to give you my top 5. I'm not going to go into it. I'll dub that in later. I just like to let you know because we did come out a little bit different. I got Frankfurt at number 5, 426. I put 4872 as number 4, the London show. There. And 3, 52372, Lyceum.
That show's incredible. I told you it was
2 Rotterdam, 1 Bickershaw. But
I understand.
I'll go into that. This is your time. You got 4 minutes to talk about the 5 best shows.
Yeah, well, this Paris show is easily, without a doubt, the greatest first set the Grateful Dead ever did. Check it out. It's beyond belief. And the second set jam sequence of the trucking, other one, drums, other one, me and Bobby McGee back into other one, Wharf Rat, could be the greatest 1 hour of music. It's up there with the Lyceum shows. It's up there with the Wembley show from 4/8 as the greatest hour of music they've ever done. It's that good. And I listened to it recently, so it's so fresh in my mind. That the Frankfurt show, oh my God, these shows blow my mind.
Love it.
But a lot of people love, and for a while I underrated the show, Howie. It was outside my top 5, but it's back in as 52672. Wow. That Lyceum show, the other one jams, the trucking jam, the playing in the band, the Not Fade Away going down the road, not fade to end the first set. It's a 19-song first set. That's exactly 2 hours. It's incredible. And the Morning Dew, I listened to that fairly recently, walking around the neighborhood with my headphones, and I swear I felt chills and I got goosebumps on my legs, and I was brought to tears. That's how incredible that Morning Dew is. Look, I know a lot of people say, well, you listen to this one from 74. Yeah, some Morning Dews have a better, longer jam. But the singing, the feeling, the ambiance, the where they were at this point in their career, Jerry, it's true. There was an interview with Dennis Leonard, one of their sound engineers, nicknamed Wiz, who was at the show, who he came from the recording truck because the tape was spinning to go see what was going on. And Jerry thought that they were not recording at this point in the song. He was on his knees crying while he was hitting the fanning notes to this song at the end. It's a true story because it's been confirmed by other people. So when you think of that, it's just amazing where Jerry was at this point in his career. He's not even 30 years old. That Morning Dew to me is one of the unbelievable moments in Grateful Dead history.
A little athleticism to Jerry's playing, which we never saw in our day.
Exactly, it's incredible. And that leaves Rotterdam and Bickershaw, probably in the top 2. It's just so hard for me to rank these 1 through 5 because
you got Paris, you got
Paris, Frankfurt, Lyceum 526, Rotterdam, and Bickershaw. Those to me are the 5 greatest shows of all time. And again, I could put 4872 in there, and I could put 523 also, because those 7 shows have always been my 7 favorite. My 8th is probably Amsterdam, and then you got, like I said, Dusseldorf and Tivoli, and those round out to 10. But you can't go wrong with any of those shows in your top 5 because they're all phenomenal. They're all 3 hours and 30 minutes to 4 hours. They're all phenomenal shows.
Yeah, no, that Lyceum 526 is awesome. I got to re-listen to that because
oh my God, Howie, it's
so
it's a
popular
revelation.
that I almost thought it was overrated because
oh my God, no.
it was
Listen
number
to that Morning Dew in a moment where you're not thinking, oh well, like the one from Alexandra Palace from '74. It's longer. It may have a better like overall jam, but just listen to the feeling in Jerry's notes.
Yeah,
I am telling you, it brought me to tears. Something I will never forget listening to that. And then I was like, this is beyond belief. And a lot of people know that. In that Heady version on the Grateful Dead website, Heady version, that's ranked number 2. So many people agree with that because of that moment. Jerry's in the moment.
What was number incredible.
1? Morning Dews.
Yeah.
Cornell, 5877.
Yeah.
Look, it's a great Morning Dew, but I don't think it has anything on that Lyceum. It does not. I'm sorry.
That's a great moment for the band. The band's... Unfortunately, we lost Doug again, thanks to the 40-minute Zoom call rule. No matter how we try, there's no hellos, goodbyes. It's all 40 minutes of Grateful Dead. And Doug gets cut off every episode, but we fill up that 40 minutes as best we can, man. Man, thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Thanks for always bringing that insane enthusiasm. I'm sure the people who listen to the podcast love it. So I did manage to get the Doug's ranking of the 5 top Europe 72 shows just to rehash that. At number 5, he had the May 26th Lyceum show, which is probably the most popular and highly regarded of the Europe 72 shows. And incredibly, I don't have it in my top 5, and that's the beauty of discussing these things and going over them, because I have to reconsider the May 26th show. When I was writing my book, Europe 72 Revisited, I started listening to the other Lyceum shows, and I was just completely blown away. Those are 4 such great shows. All 4 of them are incredible. And, I almost started to look at May 26th as something that was almost overrated, but I'm probably wrong about that. I'm sure Doug's right. Should be in the top 5 of Europe 72. Definitely, I think, but from Dead Base, from the rankings I've seen there, it's the most popular of the Europe 72 shows with the Great Morning Dew. His number 4 was Rotterdam. We just went through a whole thing on how great that show is. Frankfurt, West Germany, 100-Year Hall, the awesome CD. I think it was the first thing that was released from Europe 72. 426, that was number 3. Paris, it's an amazing show. Paris, May 3rd. He had that at number 2. I didn't even have that in my top 5. Such a great show. The Paris, May 3rd, the first night in Paris. And we both agree on number 1, Bickershaw. So let me quickly give you my top 5 again, and just a quick reason why I picked these 5. At number 5, I had Frankfurt, the April 26th show. Just overwhelming material from the show. They came out with the 100-Year Hall, the 2 CDs, and there were even incredible songs missing from that official release. Why they didn't put that Greatest Story Ever Told in, I don't know. It's diabolical, man. It's just they might have violated decency laws if they put that Greatest Story on that official release. And picking the fifth one was the toughest for me to pick, because in my mind I had the top 4 set up already, and so many shows came into play here. Paris and Frankfurt's got a monumental truck-in other one. Great Comes a Time, the first Turn On Your Love Light of the tour, an incredible jam that sounds like it's going down the road feeling bad, and the band's negotiating, going back and forth, and eventually they break into Not Fade Away before giving you the Going Down the Road Feeling Bad. Just so much for that Frankfurt show. Definitely consensus top 5. At number 4, I had April 8th, 1972, from Wembley Pool, second show of the tour. And I think Doug mentioned this. The only thing that kept it out of the top 5 for him was obviously there's not the other shows. There's so many more songs. This one is kind of almost a short show. But for me, the brilliance of their playing on that night, just performance-wise, I would put this at number 2 if it weren't for the lack of songs. These other shows in the top 5 here are just monumental. The amount of songs they're playing. This show, second show, it's not in a favorable place. It was a little cold and a vacuous kind of arena. But man, did they kick ass in there on that night. Just for me, this is right up there with Bickershaw, just performance-wise. Best Cumberland you're ever going to hear. Well, there was a pretty good one from Madison Square Garden in '83, but this one kicks off Europe '72, and it's just the album, awesome Cumberland, hot first set. But the Dark Star, Sugar Magnolia, Caution segment, for me, that's, if I had to pick one segment from Europe '72, what is the best segment from Europe '72? There are a few longer, like the one from Rotterdam we just talked about, but this is just brilliance and perfection. The Dark Star, Sugar Mag, Caution, just that segue from the Dark Star to Sugar Mag, and they even finish it off with the killer One More Saturday Night, the best one I've ever heard. Just so energetic, man. So yeah, that Wembley Pool show, number 4. Number 3, and this is the one when I did my book Europe '72 Revisited. I was kind of shocked. I didn't know the Lyceum shows that well, and this May 23rd show just blew my mind. It's so good. I think it's like a 20-song first set. I could be wrong. It could be 19 or something like that, but it's ridiculous with Rockin' Pneumonia and the Boogie Woogie Flu towards the end. Just a great long first set, and the second set, out of this world. It's a complete Jerry fest. So here's what happens. They end the first set with Casey Jones. Set 2 opens with Ramble on Rose, and then they go Dark Star, Morning Dew, He's Gone. All insane versions. Great Dark Star, Morning Dew. But just think, at that point, you got 5 Jerry songs in a row. Almost unheard of. Then Bob breaks in with a Hot Sugar Mag, and then it's right back to Jerry Fest. Comes a time into Going Down the Road, Feeling Bad. One of the best Going Down the Roads, either the best or second best from this tour. Yeah, I think Bickershaw is the best Going Down the Road, but this one's right up there, really hot. And the Comes a Time jam is what opens up the Deadology podcast. If you're curious where that came from, it comes from this Lyceum show. And then after Going Down the Road, Feeling Bad, they break into the Not Fade Away. And then it goes into Bo Diddley, which, by the way, is considered another Jerry song because Jerry sings. And that Bo Diddley is so hot. Like, if I hear they played Bo Diddley at one of these shows as they did in '71 or '72, I don't think much of it. But this one is insane, man. Just great playing. They really lit up the Lyceum on this night. And then after Bo Diddley goes back into Not Fade Away, and even the encore to conclude the Jerry Fest, Uncle John's Band, a great version. These Uncle John bands at the end of Europe '72, awesome. So Lyceum, the first night there, May 23rd, '72. Number 3, Rotterdam. We just did a whole thing on Rotterdam. For me, that came in number 2. And the ending of it is just so powerful with the best Dark Star and Sugar Mag ever. Well, the best Dark Star, Sugar Mag, just pound for pound, note for note, as good as it gets. There's some longer ones, but wow, that's a total powder keg. And to close it out, Caution, Truck, and Uncle John's, perfect. And then the number 1 show, and we did a whole podcast on this 6-8 weeks ago, something like that, Bickershaw, which could be the greatest show ever. So much there, man. The greatest story, just best versions of so many songs. My favorite, Love Light. You got the Dark Star, Other One. The only time in Europe '72 that they played both songs and both versions are just ripping, especially the Other One. That might be the best Other One ever. So yeah, Bicker Shore, we both once again agree on that. Number one. Hey, thanks again, Doug. Great having you on the show. And I think next week for the podcast, we're looking at May 77. Got to do something there. Such a great, awesome tour. I've yet to hit on it for on the anniversary dates. And I think I'm looking at St. Louis or maybe the Alabama show or maybe both of them. So that's going to be a great one next week. Hey, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Yep, we're going to be back every week. A lot of good stuff to come here. My website, tangledupintunes.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Love you guys. Once again, this is Howard Weiner. Have a great week. Fill your head with the Grateful Dead. Peace out.